Hello? Hello? Please, I know you can hear us. We are trapped here in the spaces between worlds. It is a wonderful yet terrifying place, and only our voices escape. You can help us. You can let us in before we go mad.
M.E.A.T. Everybody's getting sick all the time. Infections, cancer, common cold, you name it. Hell, makes me sick even thinking about it. The people have a right to feel safe. Nobody should have to worry if their neighbor is harboring the bug that finally wipes us all out. That's where I come in. The name is Jon Lisbon, but you can call me Jack the Ripper. Hasn't quite caught on at work, but I'm hoping it'll stick. I'm a surgeon for the M.E.A.T. Get it? Meat? They hate it when I call it that. It's actually called the M.E.T. Stands for Medical Evaluation and Treatment. I'm sure you've heard of us. My job is to fix what ails ya, or what ails your cousin, or that bum you saw with maggots crawling out of his leg. Anybody who's ill, disabled, or sniffles a bit too harshly, we fix them right up, willingly or otherwise. Usually the latter. Now, I may be a psycho that likes the smell of blood and the look of viscera all opened up, but I'd rather not have to fight the patients. My team doesn't see eye to eye with me. They'd rather beat the living shit out of people, pump them full of drugs, and put the mangled pieces back together. Bunch of pricks. Don't get me wrong, I love them like family. Well, all of them except for freaking Blake. Don't even get me started about Captain Blake. Crooked bastard. He didn't understand my genius. I mean, man, it was me that saved that kid, you know? Raging infection on the arm. God, that was a shit show. Like any other day, we waited. That's what people don't understand. Most of the job is just waiting. I was ever eager for the inevitable call. Hell, I craved it. I love helping people, and I love slicing them apart. I guess I really have Solomon Barkley to thank. If it weren't for his research into robotics, I'd probably be killing people rather than saving them. Where was I? Oh, right. Me saving that kid. Finally, the call came in. Juvenile with a possible infection. The 5 of us suited up and rushed into the good old M.E.A.T. mobile. Get it? Meat-mobile? 'Cause I chop... never mind. Forget it. It was yours truly, the curmudgeonly old Captain Blake Foreman, Iris Lilt, Carl Hamilton, and Samuel Oren. We were the dream team. I call Iris our little fireball. 4'5" and all badass. Her short cropped hair is red and she's got a temper to match. Both her arms are robotic. She lifts more than we can hope to. Appropriately, her role on the team is restraint. Carl Hamilton. Boy, he was fat. I called him Ham Hock. He was in charge of the smack sticks, tourniquets, and scanner. He may have had some meaty digits, but they were steadier and more agile than a praying mantis. Carl probably would have liked me more if I called him Mantis. Oh well. Samuel, I nicknamed Salmon because his mouth is always open. He was the trainee. His only duty was to learn from us and to be the gopher. He is particularly fresh-faced, but I kind of liked his naivete at first. I didn't dare give Blake a nickname to his face. He was the hard ass. Hard ass lined face, hard ass demeanor, a penchant for excessive force, and just a touch of corruption to soften the no-nonsense facade. Anyway, we arrived at the site of disease. Place looked like a mansion. Had to have at least 3 bedrooms and probably 2 full bathrooms. The sheer decadence of it was mind-boggling. Made my 200-square-foot apartment look like a dumpster. The patient was a young man by the name of Albert. His mother was the one who reported the problem. She told us it was a potential infection. Captain Blake stayed with her to gather details for his report. The rest of us moved toward his bedroom. It was nearing midnight, and young Albert was allegedly asleep in his bed. The door was locked. Little Fireball broke it down unprompted. Subtlety is not her strong suit. Albert tried to run, but Hamhock blocked his egress. Fireball grabbed him and slammed him back onto the bed. Salmon stood at the door, wide-mouthed as usual. I pushed past him, putting on my best bedside manner. "Albert, my man, please understand," I said. Albert was hearing none of it. He thrashed about, struggling futilely against Iris's immense strength. "Albert, please," I said. "We need to cut away the infection. Just look at our little Fireball. You'll be stronger for the effort. This is a necessary procedure to save your life."
"No!"
shrieked Albert.
"It's just a little cut. I'm okay. It'll heal on its own."
"Oh, Albert, you don't know that. A little cut is all it takes. One day you'll feel fine, and the next your jaw fuses shut forever. Or the wound goes septic and your flesh melts away. Or maybe the infection spreads and stops your heart," I said. Albert's face went white and his struggling slowed. I could tell that I was getting through to him. "Hey, maybe it will heal. No one knows for sure. All we need to do right now is give you a scan and see what's going on. You can handle that, can't you?" I asked. Albert finally laid still.
"Just a scan, right?"
"Right,"
"Okay."
he whispered. And then Blake entered.
"Administer the sedative,"
he said. "Hold on," I protested. "This is just a kid. He doesn't understand." Hamhock leaned down and swung the smack stick toward Albert. Much to all of our surprise, the kid wriggled free from Fireball and snagged it midair. Hamilton's grip slipped. Albert turned the business end of the stick toward Carl. The smack stick collided with Hamhock's face shield. Its needle perforated the polycarbonate, jellified his ocular tissue, and injected opiates directly into his brain. Poor Ham fell to the floor, seized for a few moments, and stilled. Crossed my heart and hoped to die. Captain Blake stoically surveyed the scene with all the emotional register of a vending machine.
"You're all just conciliatory goons and liars. Free nations! Free nations!"
chanted Albert.
"That's that. The boy is a Free Nations insurgent. He's dead already. Execute this traitor,"
flatly stated Blake. "Screw that! I'm not done yet!" I cried. "Fireball! Pin his arm again! Salmon, grab a smack stick and hit him! We can still get this under control!" Iris gripped his flailing arm and shoved it back into the bed with even more force. I pulled my limb loppers free from the bag and waited for the smack stick to impact. Nothing happened. I turned my head. Salmon's eyes were glazed over, and I swear I could see a little dribble of drool escaping from his gaping maw. "Sam!" I hollered.
Huh?
"The smack stick!"
Oh, right.
Salmon fumbled through Hamhock's pockets until he finally produced the needle. It was probably only a few seconds, but it felt like hours. I nearly slapped myself in the face when he gently pressed it against Albert's writhing chest. "Smack stick! Smack it, you moron!" I screamed. To my relief, Salmon finally hit Albert with enough force to trigger the spring-loaded hypodermic needle. And, to my despair, Albert kept wiggling. That's when I started to believe that maybe this kid was actually a part of the Free Nations. Hell if I was going to let Captain Blake know that, though. Haven't we all in our teenage years subscribed to some idealistic but unrealistic revolutionary cult? So I did the only thing that I could think of. I lopped off his injured arm. No tourniquet, no pain relief, no sedative. The Free Nations insurgents may have an inhibitor for our sedation, but even they wouldn't dare fiddle with the natural pain response. Albert passed out. Bright red blood pulsed like a mesmerizing fountain. I nearly lost myself in its glorious arc. It looked like a masterpiece to me, like a grand painting. I wanted to examine it from every angle, take in every aspect, every minute detail of a faltering blood supply. I wished to see it wane until nothing but a trickle remained. No, not my job. I'm here to save people. I tossed my loppers aside and shoved my fingers into Albert's amputated arm. I gripped onto and pinched the brachial artery closed. The blood stopped. Iris tossed the amputated limb away and applied additional pressure to the shoulder. Salmon, fetch me a replacement right arm. 90% should do. The mechanisms will fill in the rest, I said. Shockingly, Samuel rushed out to the van to grab the robotics. My grasp started to loosen on the slippery blood vessel. I gritted my teeth and pinched harder. The muscles and tendons in my hand quivered violently. I nearly lost my hold. Salmon arrived with exactly the part needed. All right, hold it close to the severed stub. This is where things get tricky. I'm going to count down from 3. The instant I hit 1, you slam it into place. Got it? Slam. Not that wimpy bullshit you pulled with the smack stick. You hit it hard and fast. Otherwise, he'll bleed out. You ready? I asked, despite knowing that I was nearing the limit of my grip strength.
Ready,
replied Salmon. 3. My hand screamed for relief. I refused its request. 2. My forearm suffered too. It nearly locked up. Pain was agonizing. My already gritted teeth clenched to near bone-crushing pressure. 1, I hissed through them. I released the artery. Salmon shoved the robotic arm into place. Clicks and whirs echoed through the room. First, bolts spiraled into remaining bone. Artificial nerves drilled through flesh toward the organic ones. Rubber hoses completed the broken blood circuit. Expandable foam filled the gap between human and machine. Wire and steel replaced flesh and bone. Albert was alive. I grabbed a scanner off the corpse of Hamhock. I waved it over Albert. His heart rate and blood pressure were a little low, but that was to be expected. Other than that, he was healthy and alive. Salmon, take Hamhock back to the van. I need a moment, I said.
I'm trying, John. He's heavy,
said Sam. I looked over and saw Salmon pulling at Hamhock with all the energy his little noodle arms could supply. Fireball, give him a hand, I said with exasperation in my voice. Iris nodded and grabbed Hamhock by the haunches. She nearly tossed him into the ceiling.
Whoops. Still getting used to the enhancements,
she said. The two dragged Carl away. I gathered my breath and started to follow. Captain Blake stopped me.
We need to talk,
he said. I have nothing to say to you, I replied.
Fine. All your work won't mean a damn thing. That boy will be dead by morning, as it should be. He is a terrorist.
Do whatever you have to. I disagree, but I'm not willing to put my job at risk, I said.
Good. Then we do have something to talk about. We're lucky I didn't find a Free Nations medallion on the boy. Otherwise, we'd have nothing to discuss.
Of course, the mythical Free Nations medallions. Legend had it that the lower members were given a token of their allegiance to the insurgents, a stamped coin with an owl on it. Who cares? They even claimed that the leaders had one with a bald eagle on it. Big whoop. Or so I figured.
I know you don't like me, but I'm not as unreasonable as I may seem,
replied Captain Blake. You got me over a barrel. Fine, speak.
This is beyond the pale, Lisbon. The conciliatory would call it treason. You've a good head on your shoulders that I'd hate to see removed,
he said. Are you threatening me? I asked.
No, I'm inspiring you, as any good captain should. Honestly, I think you should just quit the force. I don't want you ruining your life over charges of aiding and abetting a known insurgent. Surely, there is some other career path more in line with your talents.
Not a chance. I love my job. This is blackmail, I protested.
Is it? Or am I just a concerned citizen unveiling dissidents?
I'll give you 5/16 of my wages, and that's if you scrub the file of any mention of the Free Nations. I don't want that shit following me.
Interesting. I'm an old man. I could do with a little well-earned retirement fund, but 5/16 just won't cut it. I'm thinking more like half.
3/8, I countered.
A quarter. That's my final offer. Anything less and I'll have you unceremoniously booted out of the M.E.A.T.
Deal. I wouldn't be surprised if you were part of Free Nations with this self-serving bullshit, I snarled.
For someone trying to avoid links to that group, you sure can't keep their name out of your mouth. Now scram. I've reports to falsify,
said Blake as he chuckled wryly. You see now why I hate that bastard? Blake was like a damned chafed nipple. Hurts like hell and annoys the bejesus out of you, but it's not going to kill you. Him taking a major portion of my pay was no skin off my back. I'm a simple man. As long as I can unwind after a shift with beer and smokes, I'm all good. Besides, money probably won't exist long anyway. Going the way of the Western. I won't get into that. Politics, that is. I love Westerns, but politics bore me. After my talk with Captain Blake, I went back to the van. The side door was open. Little Fireball and Salmon sat on the edge with Hamhawk's body right behind them. For once, Samuel's jaw had a reason for being slack. He was huffing air as if he had almost drowned. I ripped off my gloves and dropped them in the biohazard bin. I pulled back my hood and lifted my face shield. I dug through my pocket for my partially smashed pack of cigarettes. I sat down next to the two and lit up the smoke.
Those little fuckers will kill you,
said Iris. Nah, they'll just replace my lungs. Besides, these are the only things keeping me alive, I replied. She scoffed and turned her head.
Got one to spare?
She asked, after the appropriate amount of silence. I already had one out of the pack ready for her. I glanced at Carl's corpse. His face was blue, lifeless, dead as a damn doornail. He had been the best of the best. Now he was the deadest of the dead. We could fix nearly every ailment known to man, but no one can repair a damaged brain. It reminded me that all it takes is a second and you could be face down in the dirt. It wasn't anybody's fault. I wanted to blame Iris or Blake, but how could I? They acted as they always did. Wasn't anything other than a case of bad luck, and that misfortune was going to continue. And, God is my witness, it got so much worse. As per the norm, regarding the death of an emergency officer, there was an inquiry into Carl Hamilton's demise. Agents of the Personnel Office of Safety and Ethics, or POSE for short, came to interview us. Take away the E and you'll know what I think of them. We were put on leave until the POSE investigation was over. Before they arrived to question us, Captain Blake took Fireball and Salmon aside to coach them on what to say. He probably fed them some line of bullshit about protecting a young, misguided man from federal execution. Regardless, as far as I could tell, even Sam kept his mouth shut. Imagine Sam keeping his mouth shut. I was the last to be interviewed. Interrogated is more like. I'm surprised they didn't pull out the car battery and jumper cables. The agents waltzed in like they owned the place, which I guess they did. It was a POSE facility. Anyway, these two clowns set a voice recorder on the table and asked me to explain myself. So, yeah, he took a needle to the eye from one of our smack sticks. He was dead in an instant, and there was nothing we could do, I said, finishing my recount of the story.
How did you let this happen?
Asked the investigator that had named himself as Blaisdell. Let? Are you accusing me of something? I asked.
What my partner means is, it just seems highly unlikely that a skilled M.E.A.T officer could succumb to the actions of a teenager. Perhaps you can shed some light on the matter?
Asked the one called Reddick.
I want to know why a member of your team is dead. Why did you let a kid kill him? You're the surgeon, the second in command. You should have stopped it.
Yelled Blaisdell. You think I didn't try? It happened in the blink of an eye. Iris had Albert restrained and then he wasn't. Hamhawk tried to hit him with the smack stick and all of a sudden Albert grabbed it. There was nothing any of us could have done, I said.
Hamhawk? Who's Hamhawk?
Asked Reddick. Sorry, Hamilton. His fingers slipped. Probably the gloves. Hard to hold on to things when you have a layer of latex over your fingers, I stated.
But why'd you call him Hamhawk?
Asked Reddick again. You guys did the autopsy, right? You saw the body? I asked.
Enough,
screamed Blaisdell.
You know more than you're letting on. This is just nonsensical delay. Tell me who's responsible. Was it Iris? I find it hard to believe that she, equipped with Barclay brand replacements, could drop the ball at such a crucial moment.
I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Were they really trying to do the good cop, bad cop routine? That trope had been played out for a century. For shits and giggles, I decided to act the part. Fine, I'll tell you, but I'll only talk to Reddick. At least he's reasonable, I said.
Blaisdell, step out,
commanded Reddick.
No, I can't stand this cockroach and his fibs. I'll beat it out of him if I have to,
protested Blaisdell.
Blaisdell, now! I'm pulling rank. Get out, or I'll submit a formal reprimand. You can't afford another one on your record,
said Reddick. Blaisdell knocked over his chair and grumbled as he left the room. I'd nearly giggled. I had to commend their commitment to the bit.
Now we can talk. Tell me exactly what happened, and maybe we can work something out. There's no need for you to lose your job. I'm thinking a month's suspension at most,
said Reddick. I finally lost it. I laughed until tears streamed down my cheeks.
What are you laughing about? This is serious, Lisbon. Your entire team's future is in question,
screamed Reddick as his good cop mask slipped. You two are a couple of POS buffoons. Did you think your little drama would get me to spill the beans? I told you what happened. There is no secret conspiracy or murder most foul. You pencil pushers really ought to spend a day in the field. Then you'd understand that shit happens. I loved Hamhawk, Carl Hamilton, like a brother. I didn't want him to die, and nobody else wanted him to die. It was just a series of unfortunate events. We all did as we were trained to. It was an accident. Got that? An accident. No one was at fault, not even Albert. He was just a scared kid with reflexes that you wouldn't believe. Here's your inside information. Carl, Blake, Sam, Iris, and I saved a teenage life from damnation. Carl died in the line of duty. That's the job. So you can take your investigation and shove it up your...
This inquiry is over. I hope you didn't leave anything out, or else we'll be back with a vengeance.
Interrupted Reddick. The two left. Unfortunately, it wouldn't be the last I saw of them, but that can wait until later. You don't want me to spoil the rest of the story, do ya? So let's get back into the meaty bits. Get it? The meaty bits? Oof. Tough audience. Whatever. This is where the story takes a turn. Think you know what happens next? You can't guess the half of it. So, as you can imagine, the POSE investigation got nowhere fast. We were all returned to duty. Salmon was promoted to Hamilton's job. What a farce. The guy spends his days catching flies, and somehow he manages to get a position operating precision instruments? I was none too happy with this turn of events, but kept my mouth shut. Unlike Salmon. The new trainee was fresh out of med school, and man was he a veritable cornucopia of potential nicknames. Thick glasses, a lisp, slender tall frame, and a robotic left leg. I thought of calling him Bug-Eye, Mushmouth, or Captain Ahab, but finally I settled on Skinwalker. It seemed the most appropriate. He was actually quite gifted in the medical sciences, unlike Salmon. His real name was Richard Walker. Skinwalker outperformed Salmon during our calls, often fulfilling Sam's duties for him when he inevitably balked at the prospect of real-world medical practice. That was the nature of the M.E.T, though. Those undeserving were propelled upward, while anyone below waited indefinitely for promotion. Merit was an afterthought in the New World Order. Has to be, otherwise I would be tyrant supreme of the M.E.T by now. In case you're an imbecile, no, that isn't the official title of the head of the M.E.T, but it may as well be. The real title is Director, and it belongs to Dr. Sarai Bennington. Yes, that Sarai Bennington. Nepotism is what I call it. That'll come into play later, but I don't think she was involved. What we dealt with was purely beyond her scope, father or not. This was a calculated plan that only the United States of the Earth Conciliatory could concoct. I know so because they pulled this shit before. I may be wrong. I don't claim to be an expert, but I saw what I saw. You decide. I'm already on thin ice as it is, and like I said, politics bore me. And for those reasons of fence-sitting, I will go. The call came in. I suited up and rushed for the meatmobile. Captain Blake filled us in on the details in the van.
We have a 607. Possible parasitic invasion. Subject name is Cuthbert Cooterpoon III.
I snickered.
Problem, John?
Is that really his name? I asked, still giggling. Blake shot me the hairy eye.
I guess now is a perfect time to refamiliarize everyone with proper etiquette,
he said. Everyone except for Skinwalker groaned. Captain Blake recited the guidelines for an M.E.T. officer, the Hippocratic Oath.
I swear to fulfill to the best of my judgment this covenant. I will respect the science of those before me. I will apply all measures required. I will not be ashamed to say that I do not know. I will not forget that I treat human beings. I will cure disease wherever I can. I will remember that I have a responsibility to society. I will help all unless they deviate from said society.
Only Skinwalker and Salmon recited the oath with Blake. Iris and I knew better. Our only motto was to fix people or die trying. The van pulled up to the apartment complex. This place was dead in the slums. I could already tell just from looking that most of the apartments were empty. Typical. Whole lot of empty space rotting away just because rent control priced out the lower echelons of society, and no silver spooner with a modicum of self-respect would be caught dead here. We exited the vehicle and geared up. Something felt wrong. I lifted my mask and pulled a cigarette free. Blake smacked it out of my hand.
Cuthbert is waiting for us. I won't wait for you to alleviate your nicotine addiction.
I looked at little Fireball. She just shrugged. I loaded up my bag with a replacement lower abdomen, just in case. It could replace everything from the sternum down to the hips, even functioning as replacement abdominals. I won't lie, this cluster of mechanical organs always kind of freaked me out. A marvel of modern engineering, no doubt, but squishier than you would expect for a machine. Even the heart and lung robotics had a solid casing. We moved into the lobby. I readjusted my mask over my face. We piled into the tiny elevator. It shuddered upward. We exited and Blake directed us toward the apartment. As usual, Fireball knocked in the door. We spread out into the small apartment. Cuthbert stumbled out of his room. He was obviously intoxicated, so I gave the command. I exhaled in relief, foolishly thinking this was going to be an easy call. "Scan him, Salmon," I commanded. Salmon stared off into the distance. I swear I could see cobwebs forming in the corners of his mouth. Skinwalker, grab the scanner from Salmon," I said. Cuthbert fell on the floor in a drunken stupor. Richard roughly yanked the medical scanner from Samuel's belt. Salmon gave him the stink eye. Skinwalker waved the device over Cuthbert. He frowned.
"Lisbon, we have a problem,"
he said. Hush. Worms are easy. We can just pull the whole intestine out and seal it up in the biohazard bin, I said.
"Not so easy. Cuthbert has cancer. The tumors are almost everywhere."
That was when damned Salmon sprung into idiotic action. He rammed a smackstick into Cooterpoon's back. I batted the needle away, but it was too late. "What the hell are you doing?" I screamed. Little Fireball slammed Samuel against the wall.
I'm sick of you guys treating me like I'm a moron and not letting me do my job. I'm in charge of the instruments, so I did what I'm supposed to do. The next step is sedation. I sedated him,"
protested Salmon. "You're a moron, Oren, and you might have just killed this man."
"What are you talking about? I did my job,"
said Sam. "He's drunker than a skunk on St. Patty's Day, Salmon. You can't mix opiates and alcohol," I hollered. Richard turned Cuthbert onto his back.
"He's going into respiratory arrest,"
shouted Skinwalker. "Crap. Salmon, stay there and try not to screw things up anymore. Fireball, run back to the van and grab a pair of replacement lungs. Forget the cancer. We can deal with that after we get him stabilized. Skinwalker, I need you to man the breather. I've got to get him opened up. ASAP," I ordered. Iris sprinted out of the room. Skinwalker attached the respirator around Cuthbert's mouth. I opened up my bag and withdrew the cutter, saw, and spreader. I split open Cooterpoon's ribcage like a walnut.
"I want to help. Please, let me save him,"
said Samuel. "You've done enough. Blake, I know you're not one to take orders, but could you keep Salmon as far away from us as possible? Call it a favor. We can discuss whatever ridiculous terms you want later," I said. I glanced up at Blake. A sly smirk cracked the wrinkles at the corners of his mouth. I turned back to the patient. His heart still beat with a rhythmic pulse. Good. I heard Salmon struggling against Blake. Even better. Something crashed in an adjoining apartment. The lights flickered and then winked out. "Lights! I need light! Where the hell is Fireball?" I yelled. Richard turned on his headlamp with one hand and continued to pump the respirator. Cuthbert's lungs expanded and retracted. I positioned my cutter at his trachea. At the time, I didn't think anything of the power outages. Blackouts were a regular occurrence in the city. The power infrastructure struggled to keep up with demand, and their budget kept shrinking year after year. What I didn't realize was that this one was deliberate. I looked up and saw the breathing pump filling with vomit. "Skinwalker! He's drowning in his own upchuck!" I hollered. Walker moved with purpose. He flung the respirator aside, rushed to grab the aspirator from my bag, shoved the tube down Cuthbert's throat, and sucked the fluid out. He cleared the respirator onto the carpet and placed it back over Kutupoon's mouth. Finally, Iris arrived. Her chest heaved from effort. "What took you?" I asked as she plopped the mechanical lungs beside me.
Had to take stairs.
She started. I cut Cuthbert's trachea.
Elevators out.
She finished. I rammed the tube of the replacement lungs into the severed trachea. The robotic lungs anchored themselves into place. A series of glue and straps attached it to the trachea. Cuthbert began to breathe steadily again with the aid of mechanics. "He's stable. I need a cigarette. Let's get out of here. Skinwalker, get a detailed list of every part we need to deal with the cancer. We'll grab the parts and head back up after a well-deserved break," I said.
"Can do, Jack,"
replied Richard. I grinned in appreciation. That was the closest anyone had come to calling me Jack the Ripper.
What are we gonna do with Sam?
Iris asked me. That's a question for Blake. I suggest that Skinwalker grab all his gear, but I'm just the guy that fixed his dumbassery, I responded. Richard did as I suggested. Blake nodded in approval.
Given the severity of his breach of medical conduct, POSC will want him. Lock him up in the van. They'll do with him what they will,
stated Blake.
No, this is ridiculous. I did my job. I performed my duty as trained,
cried Salmon.
"Well, you must have knew through the drug interaction class. What you did was ridiculous,"
yelled Skinwalker. Covered in blood and human fluid, we walked down the stairs in a darkness barely illuminated by the dim beams of our headlamps. We were nearly in the lobby when the shrieking began. It passed through the thin walls of the apartment building.
What's that? Sounds like someone is dying. Shouldn't we help?
Asked Little Fireball.
We have our patient. If anyone else needs medical intervention, they'll call the other units,
said Blake. Our group walked into the lobby. Blake tried the entry door. It was locked. I looked at the windows. All of them were blacked out by iron shutters. The foreboding sense of doom reached its pinnacle. I tossed my blood-stained gloves to the floor, lifted my mask, and produced a cigarette. Grumbled Blake.
Lockdown. Last time I saw this was an outbreak of the razor plague.
I lit up my cigarette and inhaled deeply.
Lisbon, put that thing out and get your mask back on. If we're dealing with a pandemic, our only hope is to stay clean,
shouted Blake. You see anybody else nearby? I think I'm safe to have a quick smoke, I said.
Not safe. Listen,
said Walker. The team went quiet. The sound of crashing and thrashing echoed down the stairs. Then came the howling. I'd never heard anything like it. It froze the blood in my veins and triggered some kind of primal fear instinct. You have to understand, I'm no coward, but that sound. My God, that sound. It made me feel like I was dead already.
What the fuck was that?
Whispered Iris. No one answered her. We were all too frightened to talk. I pulled out my limb loppers, testing the weight of them and eyeing the door. I pushed against the door once, then I swung the heavy stainless steel implement toward it. The loppers bounced off without making a dent. The vibrations painfully rattled my hands.
Lisbon, stand down,
hissed Blake.
We just have to wait out the lockdown. Shouldn't take more than a few hours.
Even in the dim light, I could see beads of sweat forming on his brow. Captain Blake was just as terrified as the rest of us. Did you not hear what the rest of us heard? We need to blow this popsicle stand, I hoarsely whispered.
I have to agree. Blake, something bad is going on here, and I want no part of it,
said Iris.
Not to mention, we need more replacement parts for Cuthbert. We're doing no good stuck in here,
added Salmon. Thank you, I said. Salmon smiled. Not you, dipshit. Fireball, you want to give this door a whack? I asked.
With pleasure,
she replied, turning toward the entry.
Stop! I'm still in command here. No one move a muscle. Breaking out of lockdown is an offense punishable by death. I won't have you jackasses ruining my career,
said Blake. The volume of his voice rose. There was a thud from the stairwell. My cigarette dropped out of my mouth. All of us froze. Something moved in the darkness. I brandished my limb loppers like a weapon. A man limped into the lobby. He was covered in blood.
Please, help,
he said. Skinwalker rushed forward and grabbed him as he collapsed. He gently laid the man on the tiles and waved the medical scanner over his body.
He's burning up and fluid is filling his tissues. Most of the blood on the outside isn't his, though. Everything is necrotizing,
said Walker. I checked the scanner and confirmed his readings. Skinwalker's right. This looks like a brown recluse bite or maybe a black mamba, but it's way more potent. It's chewing him up like a piranha, I said.
I'm sorry. I didn't know it would come to this. The Free Nation said we'd be able to change things for the better. They didn't know. They didn't understand. How could they understand the lengths the conciliatory is willing to go? I just wanted a better future for my family,
said the man as his lucidity faded.
Mama, help. Please, where's my mom? Mama!
Blood started to ooze from behind his eyes and dribble from his nose. He coughed and sprayed my face with red mist. The man choked on his own blood.
The aspirator, Jack,
shouted Richard. I put my hand on his shoulder and shook my head. Can't save them all, Skinwalker. There's nothing we can do, I said.
Can we give him some opiates to numb the pain?
Asked Skinwalker.
No, the medicine is for patients that still have a chance of living. See, I do know things,
said Sam.
Shut the fuck up, Salmon,
cried Iris. I laughed. It was the first time she'd called him that. My chuckle was cut short by another howl. Seemingly in the chaos, we had forgotten about the godforsaken noise and the dread it carried. I grabbed my loppers and backed away from the stairwell. Blake's headlamp flashed over my face.
Lisbon, you've been contaminated,
he said.
Get away from us now.
You still think this is some disease? That guy had to be poisoned or something. No known disease acts like that. I feel fine. Frig off with your paranoia, you old geezer, I replied.
Doesn't change the fact that you're covered in biohazard. When the pandemic unit shows up, they'll have our hides for harboring a potentially infectious individual. Looks like your tenure as a surgeon on this team is finally up,
said Blake.
Against the wall, now!
Wait, I can scan him. If anything gets wrong, it'll throw up. Based on the readings from the other subject, I think chances are slim that Jack is infected,
protested Skinwalker.
I think chances are slim,
mocked Captain Blake.
Lisbon is a liability, and I've been waiting for the chance to knock him off since he joined the M.E.A.T. Jack the Ripper, you're not suited for a position on this team. I tried telling you to quit, but I couldn't resist your offer. I thought maybe I could deal with you, especially with a cut of your wages. But nope, I can't stand you.
Blake, The fuck does that mean? A cut of his wages? What are you saying?
Asked Iris. Blake ignored her and continued.
I'll miss the extra change in my pocket, but I won't miss you. I've tried to have you fired over and over. No dice. They said you were too good at what you do. I tried to have you transferred out of country, out of state, out of county, hell, even to just another unit. They said nowhere else needed you. Finally, I have my reason. You're an infection, Lisbon. And infections should be cut away.
Something finally broke in my mind. I'm not a violent man, just a man pushed to my limit. Despite my hatred of him, I always believed that Captain Blake respected me. I'm a good surgeon. I do my best for the patients. I'm no infection. I imagined my limb loppers squeezing against his neck. I saw the razor-sharp blades cutting through the rubber, slicing through skin, severing blood vessels and nerves, chomping through the vertebrae of his neck with that oh-so-satisfying crunch. Then, all of a sudden, it was happening. This vision of brutal violence became reality. I was lopping off Blake's head. His carotid arteries sprayed upward in a dazzling display like fireworks bursting in air. Without the brain's influence, his heart stilled. The bloodworks came to an abrupt end. Blake's head rolled off his neck. It thudded to the floor. The cut had been clean. Blake's face contorted into a variety of grimaces and his mouth flapped like he was trying to say something, but there was no air left to say it. I nearly grinned with glee, but caught myself mid-smirk. Fortunately, all eyes were on Blake's decapitated head. Can you blame me? That man was a bane on my existence, and I took it all with a smile on my face and a yes sir on my tongue. This was just the proverbial straw that broke the proverbial camel's back. All I'm saying is that it was a long time coming. Did I enjoy it? You bet your ass I did, but that's not the point. This was a classic two birds, one stone situation. Blake wanted us to stay under lockdown, and I despised him. Not to mention, he was sapping away my earnings. So, 3, maybe even 4 birds by my count. If you don't agree, you can frickin' eat me. The reaction was expected. Skinwalker was aghast. Salmon vomited into his mask, and Little Fireball nodded in approval. It may have been that she was still fuming about the revelation that Blake had been taking my wages, but I'd like to think that we were ilk. Samuel ran forward and emptied his face mask onto the floor near the stairs.
About time that fucker got his comeuppance,
said Iris.
If this what duty is normally like, I'm starting to regret going to med school,
said Richard. Regret nothing. We're pioneers. We are the frontier of medical science and the bastion of the downtrodden. Where else in history have men been free from the risk of disease? Blake was behind the times. He was the remnant of a bygone era. We are the future. Infection, illness, cancer, and even death will be but a... I stopped my righteous rant as my light passed the pitch-black stairwell. 7 eyes flashed light back. 3 looked like cat's eyes, and the remaining 4 bounced light off them like disco balls. I pressed my back against the wall. A resounding howl threatened to burst our eardrums, rattled our bones, and forced our sanity to take a vacation in the Bahamas. Salmon tried to run. The thing stepped into the light of our headlamps. It was a bumpy mass just a touch taller than any of us, but 3 times as wide. Musculature rippled under its thin skin. One arm looked almost normal, despite its enormous size. The bulging limb ended in 5 digits of various length. The other arm was short, as if it had been amputated at the forearm. A bony spike protruded from its elbow, and 2 thin, long, grasping fingers hung beside it. It had pecs and abs that would make an Olympic bodybuilder jealous. Underneath were two malformed legs. One was plantigrade and the other digitigrade. Its head was less a head and more a lump that ran from shoulder to shoulder. In between were all the eyes that I had seen flashing in the dark. The majority were insectoid compound eyes, and the rest had slits through their centers. Below was a huge, wide mouth filled with jagged teeth. The most disturbing part was its lips. They looked bizarrely human, but stretched to incomprehensible lengths over its maw. "Run!" I screamed as the creature barreled toward Salmon. Another appendage shot from behind it and skewered Sam. It snagged him off the tiles like a bear grabbing fish out of water. This limb looked like a scorpion tail composed of flesh and bone. I could make out the vertebrae poking through pale skin. A lump of smooth, bulbous bone tipped the appendage and a stinger curved out of it. This is what had done in the man lying dead on the floor. As if to confirm my theory, blood started to flow from Salmon's open mouth. The monstrosity grabbed him around the waist with its hand and retracted its stinger. "Up the stairs!" I commanded. Iris and Richard darted past the creature. I ran for the stairwell. The scorpion tail thrusted toward my abdomen. I narrowly skirted past its deadly bone needle. Salmon's body was shoved into the thing's mouth via its grasping appendages. Distracted by consuming its meal, it ignored us as we made our way up the stairs. I kept running up and up.
What about Famine? I was just going to leave him?
Asked Skinwalker. "Did you not see it eat Salmon? We're heading all the way to the roof. Back me up here, Fireball," I pleaded.
Salmon is a goner. Roof is the best bet. Fire escape. Maybe it won't be locked,"
huffed Iris. Howling echoed up the stairs. I ran into the roof access door and bounced off. I tried it again. It opened just a slip, but ran into another steel shutter. "Little Fireball, give this door a knock and see if someone answers," I said, out of breath. I stepped out of the way as she slammed her arms against it. It didn't budge. She tried again. No use. We were trapped like rats in a cage. Shit. No way out. Back down a level. We'll take a top-floor apartment and fortify it. Maybe we can bust out a window, I said.
"Not likely,"
responded Iris. "It's better than nothing. You have any bright ideas? I'm open to suggestions," I said sarcastically.
"Fuck you, John. We're all in the same predicament. Cut me some slack,"
chided Fireball.
Stop! If we're to survive, we need to work as a unit. Let's get to the apartment. From there, we can discuss our options. Out here, we're in the open,"
said Skinwalker. I had to agree. We moved down a level and ran into a group of 6 men. Some carried homemade submachine guns and the rest were armed with blunt instruments.
"Stop! Who are you and what's going on here?"
asked the leader of the group as he pointed his gun at my chest. "All right, calm down. We were here to help heal a man," I said.
"So, you're M.E.A.T?
asked the man. Yes. We are just civil servants trying to do our duty."
"Conciliatory dogs. You were the ones that brought the creature, weren't you?"
he accused.
"Our guy was just eaten by that thing, you fucking dolts. We don't want to die any more than you do,"
yelled Iris. She was slightly crouched down and ready to pounce if things got a single degree more heated.
Wait, are you saying it wasn't you? You are Free Nathan terrorist, right?
Asked Skinwalker.
"I'm not saying anything to a Fed,"
said the man. I tried to subtly shake my head no to Richard. He didn't notice.
You're the bastard that created this abomination. I've seen it on the news. You all have been experimenting with the genetics. You're the ones responsible,
Walker continued. "Hold up! We can work together," I cried. but the damage was already done,
Hogarth, kneecap this asshole.
said the man. Fire issued from the barrel of a gun. The shot made my ears ring. A metal slug shredded Richard's pant leg. Sparks and hydraulic fluid burst from the back of Skinwalker's replacement. He fell to one mechanical knee. Little Fireball sprung forward. She grabbed the closest man and ripped him in half. Blood, guts, and gore splattered to the floor. "Hold on! Stop! We have bigger problems! We don't need to fight!" I yelled. Another of the group opened fire. He missed 2 shots before his submachine gun jammed. Skinwalker pulled the shredded fabric of his pants free. He tied it over his damaged knee and entered the fray. A smack stick collided with the face of the second closest one. The others desperately tried to avoid friendly fire as they pulled their triggers. Their aim went wide and bored holes through the drywall at our sides. I shrugged, sighed, and chucked my loppers at the flabbergasted leader. The blade thunked home in his chest. He fell backward. His fingers spasmed. A trail of bullets spattered the ceiling. Gypsum and plaster rained down on our heads. Fireball pulled a man's arm free from its socket. Skinwalker crashed into another. I rushed past to grab my loppers. The maple wood of a baseball bat crashed into my shoulder. Iris's robotic hand caught the second strike. She crushed the bat into splinters. A howl issued from a floor down. Everyone stopped mid-carnage. We had made too much noise, and the beast had arrived to defend its claim on the apartment building. I pulled my loppers free. Fireball retreated to the wall. I backed away slowly. Skinwalker rose from the body of the man he had tackled. He hobbled toward us. The remaining 2 revolutionaries armed themselves with the submachine guns of their fallen comrades. They aimed the rifles at the stairwell. Gunfire erupted. Strobing light illuminated our path. The 3 of us crept noiselessly along the wall. The creature surged forward despite the small arm's rounds perforating it. One man was stuck by its bony blade. The second pulled a length of pipe free from his belt. He dumped a crystalline powder down its open end. Rapidly, he screwed a cap down and shook the pipe. I recognized what he was doing. "Run! Now!" I screamed. Iris and Richard followed as I tossed myself past the creature and down the stairs. I looked back up. The bomber had been stuck with the stinger. It dug into his chest cavity. His eyes and mouth bled.
"Free nations!"
He screamed at the top of his lungs. The pipe bomb detonated in his hand. Shrapnel shredded his body and pulverized the creature. We were spattered with fluid both red and blue. A pained howl pierced the air. My head swam. My vision quaked. Somehow I managed to pull myself upright. I ran down the stairs. In that moment, I thought Skinwalker and Fireball were goners, and I didn't care. I wanted to survive. Several floors later, I heard Iris.
This changes nothing. We need to get out of the open and into an apartment.
Agreed. I'd like to believe that the mother died in the Ithlothan, but we can't know for sure,
said Skinwalker. Shell-shocked, I turned in disbelief. I expected the voices to be figments of my imagination. Surely they were dead. I looked up the stairs. They were both still there. Yeah, of course. The original plan still stands, I said, regaining my composure. Let's get out of the hall and batten down the hatches. I pointed out a random direction, pretending that I knew the best path and that I wasn't scared out of my wits. After all, someone had to make the big decisions, and nobody wants to follow a pussy. The 2 didn't argue with me. They just followed like trained seals. It felt good. A little too good. My mind drifted off into visions of grandeur where I was the captain. and a damn fine one at that. My team obeyed not because of my rank, but because they knew I was good at what I did, and I had their best interests at heart. Essentially, I was the polar opposite of Blake. My nose brought me back to reality. A familiar scent assailed my nostrils. Intestinal leak. My eyes darted down to my gut. Nothing. I patted myself down with my left hand. Still good. No punctures, but that meant... "Everybody slow your roll," I shouted. "Check your guts. Low down, somebody's spilling fresh sewage out their belly."
It's me. I got hit by shrapnel from the bomb. I'm fine. We could continue,
responded Skinwalker. I turned to him. His mask was misted over, but I could see a look of agony on his face. His gait was staggered and uneven. "Nope. Fireball, floor this guy and pin his arms." Before he could protest, Iris had him laid out on the floor. A slurry of blood and intestinal juices bubbled up around a shard of galvanized steel.
Wait. What if the creature is still alive? We can't afford to waste time.
"No waste. We need you tip-top in case it is," I said. "Now lay there and take it." I straddled his hips. I grinned and said, "Now, Skinwalker, don't go falling in love with me." Had he the blood pressure, I'm sure he would have blushed. I'm probably lucky his leg was damaged. Otherwise, he could have easily bucked me halfway back down the hall. As it was, he wriggled like a desperate eel.
"Shut the fuck up, Jon. Just fix him and let's get out of here,"
said Little Fireball. Her head swiveled back and forth, waiting for another attack.
I said we could just move into the apartment. Why are you playing games? We're not safe here,
cried Skinwalker. "You two should really develop a sense of humor. Skinwalker, I'm going to have to operate with no anesthetic. You ready?" I asked as a courtesy rather than a question.
No. I don't consent to this procedure.
"Lucky for you, the law is on my side, and I happen to have just the right part. You're SOL, my friend. Get ready for the worst pain of your life," I said as I positioned my cutter over his abdomen and gingerly grasped the shrapnel. Before he had a chance to react, I ripped the metal spike free. He shrieked and passed out. I sliced a clean, swift circle around his gut from the ribs to his hips. With a modicum of effort, I wrenched the skin and muscle free. Not the cleanest way, but it didn't matter. The replacement would take care of the rest. I was on a time crunch here. I didn't even have the luxury of marveling at the sight of his guts all opened up. Pity. I pried up the greater omentum and flung it aside with the rest of the biohazard. I made several more practice slices with my cutter as I pulled the whole of his intestines out. Fecal materials, stomach acid, blood, and various other fluids filled the abdominal cavity. I set my cutter aside. I barely heard Bennington's beast howl. Fireball definitely heard. She squirmed uncomfortably but refused to distract me from the delicate surgery. I grabbed my sucker pump from the bag. It drained the fluids onto the floor. When empty, I sprayed antiseptic surgical glue into the cavity. It stopped the flow of blood. I jammed the replacement lower abdomen into place and carefully guided the severed gastrointestinal tract. Screws anchored to bone. Synthetic nerves burrowed to meet the old ones. Unions spliced blood vessels together. The whole gastro tract was reunited by the replacement. I pulled my hands free as expanding foam filled the abdominal cavity. Skinwalker was whole again. I sighed in relief and began to clean my cutter. Fireball let go of his limp arms. I grabbed the medical scanner from his belt and scanned for vitals. His pulse was weak and inflammation was high, but he was alive and stable. I looked up at Iris. "He's good. We'll have to be careful, though. Skinwalker needs a blood infusion." "I'll be happy to," I started before I saw movement behind Little Fireball. Light reflected back from my headlight off of the eyes. There were less this time, only about 4, 3 compound and 1 cat left. The creature staggered toward us, but it was alive. By God, it was alive. "Grab Walker! We need to bounce!" I yelled. Bennington's beast hobbled forward. Its flesh rapidly healed. I saw metal shards and mushroomed slugs dropping from its face as its body pushed out the foreign material. Scalded skin was replaced with rippling pink growth. It screamed at us with a pained desire. The stinger lunged over and over. Venom sprayed from its tip. Fireball scooped up Skinwalker and we ran for the end of the hall. The dilapidation of this building reared its ugly head. A burst pipe sticking through the wall had doused the area. The flooring had melted and collapsed under its own waterlogged weight. I hopped down into a damp and moldy apartment. Fireball jumped, carefully cradling Skinwalker from the jolt. I ran straight through the spongy door, and we entered another hallway. I led the way through it. Once more we fled to the end. Skinwalker woke up.
"What the hell is going on?"
he mumbled.
Jack saved your life. The creature is hunting us now. We're looking for a place to hide.
She replied with a tenderness uncharacteristic of her usual blunt delivery.
"Put me down. I can walk now,"
said Skinwalker. "You're blowing smoke. I just gutted you like a fish and replaced your organs. That's bogus," I said. Iris gently let his legs fall below him, and they held. He lifted himself up and stood erect. No, not that kind of erect. I mean, sure, yeah. Iris is a hell of a looker, but no. Get your mind out of the gutter. He was standing on his own without anything but sheer willpower supporting him. To be honest, he is the hero of this story. I'm just a creep that managed to survive.
"The plan still stands. We need an apartment to hole up in,"
he said. I nodded in agreement. We passed the stairs and kept going. I pointed to an apartment at the end of the hall. Little Fireball aimed to bash the door in, but I stopped her. I knocked. A little old lady answered the door.
"Are you the cleaners I asked for?"
she asked. "Yep," I replied.
"Grand. Just grand. This place needs a good once-through. I do most of the cleaning, but lately it's gotten out of hand."
I nearly gagged from the stench. Iris locked the door and barricaded it with loose pieces of furniture. Skinwalker wavered from the smell. "Hold it together, man. This is our best chance, especially if that thing has an olfactory sense like ours," I said. The old woman led me to a bedroom. Flies buzzed around.
"This is the worst of it. My husband has been lounging around for a week, not doing anything. Filthy layabout. Doesn't do nothing about the smell. I'm about ready to serve him divorce papers,"
she said. I looked over the room. On the bed was a corpse, partially melted into the fibers of the mattress. Maggots squirmed around on his decaying flesh. "Ma'am, I don't think you need divorce papers. A hearse would be more appropriate," I said.
"Oh, you,"
she replied, smacking me on the back.
"Frank is just lazy. That's why I need your services. He won't lift a finger around the house."
"I can imagine. You were right to call us. We'll start in the foyer. Don't mind us moving things around and making a ruckus. All part of the process. You just relax wherever you want and we'll take care of the rest," I said.
"Thank goodness. That's exactly what I was hoping for. Do what you have to. I won't interfere. I'm just glad to have someone to sort out this mess."
Something dropped out of the old lady's pocket. I picked it up off the maggot-ridden carpet and shoved it into my pocket. "Don't worry about it, it's probably nothing important." I ran back to Fireball and Skinwalker. They were sitting with their backs against a stack of furniture. You were right, Iris. The windows are shuttered up tighter than a nun's chuff, I said.
Don't be gross. The apartment's foul enough as it is. What the fuck is that odor?
She asked. The little old lady's late husband. He's currently seeping through the mattress and into the floorboards, I replied.
Fucking hell. This whole thing is like a nightmare I can't wake up from.
You're both getting off topic. What that monther? Why is it here?
Asked Richard. I've got a theory. Guy in the lobby said he was Free Nations, and those armed thugs were almost assuredly. They acted like someone from the outside brought that monstrosity in, right? I asked.
Yes, but I'm not sure they were a reliable source given the fate they were in.
You're probably right, but I think they were telling the truth. I think we waltzed into an underground terrorist base. That creature has to be one of Bennington's beasts. It's the only logical explanation.
John, shut the fuck up. Are you kidding me with all these conspiracy theories? Fartham Bennington is a renowned scientific mind. The idea that his work is being used by the conciliatory to put down insurrections has been debunked by the media 1,000 times over,
said Little Fireball. You've got a better explanation? I asked. She sat silently and frowned.
You're wrong, Jack. The insurgents are known genetic methods, but it doesn't matter. Regardless of what it is, we should come up with a plan. M.E.A.T has decided to pay us a visit,
said Walker. It won't come here. We left it in the dust, chowing down on your leftover lower bowels. As soon as I finished my sentence, a howl emanated from the hallway. It sounded close. You know what, Skinwalker? You're right. We should come up with a plan, I said. How many smack sticks you got? Richard laid them out and counted them.
7.
Good. Fireball, grab 2. I'll take 2, and that'll leave 3 for Skinwalker. That thing comes in here, and we hit it with as many sedatives as we can, and we beat the shit out of it. Weapons. Little Fireball's arms are weapons on their own. That leaves the limb loppers and my cutter, I said.
I'll take the loppers,
said Richard. The hell you will. You're nearly crippled now. Besides, you ever seen me use these things? I'm a damned Michelangelo with this tool. It's more an extension of my own hands than a surgical implement. You'll take the cutter and thank me for the opportunity to even hold such an exquisite piece, I responded.
Yeah, I know. I thought you rip off Flick's head. I don't think I'll ever forget.
He shot back. Another howl interrupted our bickering. Bennington's beast was nearly on top of us now. I handed the cutter to Skinwalker.
Shut up, you two,
whispered Iris.
Maybe it won't find us if we keep quiet.
She was wrong. A bang jostled the door and the furniture. Timber cracked. A bony blade stabbed through. The door shredded away like paper. One more crash and the furniture of our makeshift barricade tumbled over and past us. We were tossed aside like discarded litter. Fireball was the first to act. She grabbed both of the creature's arms with her metallic fingers. The stinger lurched toward her chest. I hopped up under her arms, placed myself between her and the stinger, and positioned my loppers in its path. With surgical agility, I cut through the appendage with my limb loppers. My shoulder cried out in pain. The stinger squirmed on the floor like the severed head of a rattlesnake. Blue blood squirted from the stub of the amputated tail. Skinwalker threw himself under the creature. He rammed 2 smack sticks into its groin. The beast howled in pain. I nearly cheered. Then Iris's arm broke at the elbow. Sparks showered us. Freed from constraint, the spiked arm drove down. It pierced through Skinwalker's chest. The 2 grasping fingers coiled around his back. He was lifted from under the monstrosity. The beast placed him legs first into its mouth. Skinwalker shrieked as it bit down on his thighs. His already damaged robotic leg shot sparks around the teeth.
If I'm going down, I'm taking you with me,
he screamed. His body was shoved further into the gaping maw. He jammed his last smack stick into the upper lip of the beast. It gulped and he slid further down its gullet. The creature chomped on his chest. More sparks issued from the newly installed robotics. Skinwalker yelped in pain. I slashed at the creature's torso with my loppers and screamed, "Damn it, you bastard! I just fixed him up!" It swallowed. Richard Walker swung the cutter back and forth. Blue blood leaked between its teeth as Richard disappeared. Fireball ripped away at the creature's arm that she still had a hold on. She managed to jam one of her smack sticks into its armpit. I dodged a swipe from the bone blade. I tossed both my smack sticks like darts. The needles stuck into its abdomen. Its movement slowed, but it was far from done. Another slice severed Fireball's other arm. She was literally disarmed. Iris Lilt fell to the floor. I dove to grab the last smack stick. Bennington's beast struck lazily at me. It was really feeling the opiates now. I rolled to the side as its half arm grabbed at me. The bone spike drove into the hardwood floor. 2 long fingers caressed my side. I slammed them away with my good arm. The brittle bones within snapped. I stabbed the last smack stick into the creature's upper arm. The effects were immediate. Bennington's beast moved in slow motion. The sensation was like night and day. 1 minute, I was fighting for my life, and the next, I was gleefully gutting the thing that had moments before taken Skinwalker's life. I crawled up and used my limb loppers to cut chunks out of its back. I sliced faster than the thing could regenerate. I chopped away at the eyes, the spine, and the abdomen. Skinwalker slipped out. His bones were nearly jellified. Even the robotic parts were partially dissolved. The stomach acid carved notches in my loppers. Still, I didn't stop. I cut away its remaining arm and both legs just to be safe. Little Fireball closed her eyes to my carnage. When I finished, Bennington's beast was an unrecognizable pile of cut flesh, bone, and viscera. The old lady emerged from her haven.
I'm sorry. I know I said I wouldn't bother you, but what in tarnation is that?
She cried. I paused my slicing to look at her with an expression of pity.
I hired you to clean up this mess, not add to it. This is atrocious. I'm shocked by your lack of decorum. I'll be reporting your work to the conciliatory.
She cried. No, you won't, I stated truthfully. I hopped down from the beast and lopped off her arm with one swift motion. She nearly bled out as I watched. Not yet, I said. I pinched her artery closed with my left hand. I pinned the loppers between my armpit and hand and pressed them over her neck. Slowly I closed the handles until her head dropped to the floor. This time Iris had her eyes wide open.
Jon, you sick fuck, why?
Asked Iris. Why not? She was a potential witness. I could easily do the same to you, I said.
You wouldn't dare.
Your one strength has been taken out of the equation. It would be a simple matter. You won't feel a thing, I said. I clasped my limb loppers over her throat.
Do it. I'll fucking haunt your ass until the end of time,
she said. I withdrew the loppers and laughed. I really had you going, didn't I asked.
What the fuck, Jon? What's the matter with you?
Fireball asked. It's our get-out-of-jail-free card, I said as I produced the medallion from my pocket to show her. That old bat was the ringleader. Just look. She examined it with incredulity. It was pure silver, and the stamped symbol of an eagle marked the geriatric woman as the leader of this particular terrorist cell.
You got this from the dementia case? She was the boss.
Yep. Fell out of her pocket as she was giving me the grand tour of her dead husband. I had to kill her. It was the only way we'll get out of this mess, I replied.
Makes sense. But why do you feel the fucking need to make me think you were going to kill me?
I thought it'd be funny.
It wasn't. And that doesn't explain why you took your time on the Alzheimer's special.
I sighed and rubbed my eyes. I couldn't tell her. Truth was, I loved every moment of slicing that old bag's head off. I quickly cooked up a suitable lie. Plausible deniability is a wonderful tool. You should try it sometime. I guess I just needed a release. In that woman, I saw everything that happened here. All the death and the misery. I guess I just piled that on her decrepit lap. I'm not proud of what I did, but in the moment, she was the reason. She was the real monster. I took out my anger and frustration on her, I said as I pressed a cigarette between my lips.
Even so, that was brutal,
replied Iris. We sat in awkward silence for a moment. I grabbed another cigarette, pulled off Iris's face mask, and placed it between her lips. Hey, Iris, how do you feel about me? I asked, breaking the silence as I pulled the smoke away from my mouth.
You're a great surgeon and a better teammate. I owe you my life. You're fucking weird, but I like it. I like your nicknames and your sense of humor. You breathe life into what would otherwise be a dour job.
I snagged her cigarette and leaned in for a kiss. She head-butted me in the chest.
What the fuck are you pulling? Is this another joke?
She asked. I thought we had a connection, I said. You could cut the sexual tension with a knife. You can't deny that.
Sexual tension? You're barking up the wrong tree, Lisbon. I like girls. I thought you knew,
she said, disgusted.
Besides, you're still covered in blood.
So, if I clean up a bit, I still have a chance? We started to laugh. It was a laugh of genuine embarrassment and a laugh of relief. We were almost hysterical. By the time seriousness re-entered our demeanor, I had tear-carved trails running through the layers of cracked blood on my cheeks.
Jon, what are we gonna do when this is over?
Asked Fireball. Well, I'm going to hand the authorities this token and explain how we took down an entire terrorist stronghold single-handedly. If anybody asks, don't tell them she was a frail, senile old crackpot. It'll sound much more heroic if she was a devious criminal mastermind.
That's not what I mean. How do we come back from this? You killed Blake, and we saw 2 other members of our team devoured by that monster. I didn't think it could get worse than when Hamilton died. I don't know if I can take this mentally.
You have to. You know just as well as I do. We can replace just about everything with Barclay's creations, but a brain? That's something that can never be replaced. We'll have to deal with the mental repercussions. What other choice do we have? She didn't respond. She was right, though. I had opened a can of worms in my mind that had been safely tucked away undisturbed, out of sight and out of mind for 2 decades. I had killed 2 human beings, and I enjoyed it more than anything I had ever experienced before. It's not like I want to do it. I'm a healer, not a murderer. But forevermore, those moments of pleasure will plague me like a chronic disease. Deep inside, I'm a killer, and I can't deny that anymore. I helped Iris to her feet, and we found another, less stinky apartment to reside in. Its doors had been shredded, and blood spattered the carpet in its entry. The previous occupant had assuredly died from Bennington's beast. Fortunately for us, the fridge was fully stocked. It was a week before the lockdown lifted. I had to hand feed little Fireball the whole time. She hated the entire experience. Iris Lilt, proud as she was not used to relying on someone else. I had to coax her into eating anything I cooked. Even worse, I had to help her do her business in the bathroom. Not a pleasant experience for either of us, I can assure you. I still had my doubts when I heard the shutters withdraw from the windows. I figured that the responding party would kill anything still living in the building. I thought about fleeing down the fire escape, but I couldn't leave poor little Fireball to face the music. We were in this together, for better or worse. To my surprise, the responders knew even less than we did. Iris and I were escorted out of the building and given a medical evaluation. They deemed my condition as healthy, beyond a few uninfected abrasions and lacerations. Fireball was given a similar diagnosis, but they provided her with a brand new pair of arms. We were again put on leave, and the damned POSE showed up to interview us. I only had a moment with Fireball. "Hey, just don't mention Bennington," I said to her. I was off my rocker to even propose such a theory. This was probably the acts of Free Nations rebels, like Skinwalker said, if you catch my drift.
I wouldn't dream of it. Obviously, the insurgents were experimenting with genetics, and their experiment got out of hand. That's exactly what the news will report, and exactly what happened. Why would I say any different?
She asked. Thanks, Fireball. I was escorted into an interrogation room. I stifled a giggle as I saw that Blaisdell and Reddick were to perform the interrogation. Those idiots would be hard-pressed to get honey out of a bee. To my absolute glee, they switched roles, seemingly not remembering that they had tried this trick on me before.
"What happened? Give us your detailed story,"
said Blaisdell. Well, we responded to a call. Just a typical parasitic infestation, I said. The two nodded along to my tale. And that was how we killed the blasted monstrosity and took down the head of a Free Nation outpost, plus a bunch of their lackeys. I suppose you're here to give us medals? I asked as I finished.
"You expect me to believe that an old woman was the leader of a terrorist cell?"
asked Reddick.
"Now, hold on. He said he got the pin off that woman. There's no evidence to the contrary. Why shouldn't we believe him?"
asked Blaisdell.
"What about Blake? His wounds were consistent with a blow from a pair of amputation incisors,"
said Reddick. Didn't you autopsy the creature? Its teeth dealt the killing blow. Wasn't that obvious? I asked.
Of course. What my partner means is that it is hard to believe that all three of them were taken down by this shoddy creature cobbled together by the Free Nations. Do you know anything about that? We just need your cooperation here,"
said Blaisdell.
"Screw cooperation! This bastard killed them all and is using terrorists as his scapegoat. I'll beat you within an inch of your life if you don't tell us what really happened,"
screamed Reddick.
"Reddick, calm down. You're going overboard. Please, Lisbon, if there's anything that you didn't mention, let us know. We can get you a deal. You're a hero, regardless. We just need to know what really happened,"
said Blaisdell.
"No! He's a cold-blooded killer. I won't stand for this. Lisbon, you asshole. I'll make sure to lock you up for the rest of your days,"
responded Reddick. Stop! Stop! All right, I'll tell you. Just please be merciful. I don't want to go to jail for the rest of my life, I replied, barely containing the grin forming on my lips.
"Reddick, get out. You're not getting anywhere,"
said Blaisdell.
"I'm getting exactly where we need to get,"
shouted Reddick.
"Reddick, I'm pulling rank here. I'm sorry, but you need to leave. Immediately.
Stated Blaisdell. Reddick slammed his fist against the table. He glared at me before violently shoving his way out of the room.
Now, let's talk. What aren't you telling me?
Asked Blaisdell. Deja vu, I said.
What?
We've been here before, you idiot. Don't you remember? I pulled the same trick.
God damn it.
Swore Blaisdell. Oh no, don't be so hard on yourself. At least you tried to switch it up. Last time I was here alone with Reddick, I said sarcastically. You two have to be the worst investigators in the POSE. As before, my initial testimony remains the same. I have nothing to hide. I did nothing wrong.
You sure about that? What do you know about Bennington's beasts?
He asked. I nearly lost it. How the hell did he know? Then I remembered that I was dealing with a couple of imbeciles. They didn't know shit. It was all a bluff. He might have some inkling. I'm sure he'd heard the urban myths same as I had, but he was grasping at straws. Barney Tongue? Who is that, and what does he have to do with beats?
Oh, stop playing coy. You know. You experienced one.
I told you what happened. You have nothing else to go on. I explained exactly what happened, and I don't think the conciliatory would be pleased with you mouthing off about conspiracies, I stated. That last line knocked him down a peg. Blaisdell's eyes darted about the room and his face contorted into a concerned grimace. He thumbed the stop button on the recorder, tossed it to the floor, and smashed it underfoot just for good measure.
Oh no. Looks like Reddick damaged the recorder during his little fit,
he said. I'm no fool. I figured this was another dumbass ploy, albeit a well more convincing one. He probably had another recorder hidden on his body or somewhere in the room. Whatever the case, I wasn't keen on talking.
Lisbon, please,
he pleaded, his expression turning to one of desperation.
What happened to them? What really happened to my brothers?
Brothers? The hell are you on about? I already told you everything. The Free Nations terrorists created a monstrosity. Little Fireball and I were lucky to get out alive. After we had killed the thing, of course, I stated. Blaisdell grabbed me by the collar and pulled me uncomfortably across the table. Gah! Get off me! What's your damage? I yelled.
You killed my brothers. I've heard that you're sympathetic to the cause, but what you did was unforgivable.
The pieces finally clicked. Blaisdell was one of them. He was Free Nations. Holy crap. You shitheads are everywhere, I cried. Blaisdell scowled at me.
Everywhere, and making moves. Soon the conciliatory will be no more, for better or worse. Free Nations stands to end the corruption, reinstitute our God-given rights, and return to the old United States traditions. The conciliatory is dark and diseased. You, as a surgeon, should understand that an illness must be cured.
Nope, no. You're not dragging me into this. I hate politics, I replied to his rant.
Jon, this is more than politics. This is a way of life. I've revealed myself to you. The least you could do is tell me what happened in that apartment,
he said as he pulled a crude single-shot pistol from his drawers. This is where the interrogation got dicey. I was caught between a rock and a hard place. Obviously, I had to tell him what happened. That was the between, the given for keeping my brain firmly planted within its skull. The rest was a catch-22. I had no intention of declaring my allegiance to the conciliatory or the Free Nations. I was damn happy where I was. I had no rooster in this cockfight. What I did have was a will to live. Enter option 3. play ball, and deny having been a part of the game in the first place. Yeah, we did them in. Fireball slaughtered at least 2. The late Skinwalker stabbed 1 with a smack stick. I personally killed 2. A hot shot with an itchy trigger finger, and the old lady, Bennington's beast, as you called it, got the rest. They left us with little choice, political ideologies aside. I've never been attacked more in my life. Gunman, a monster, even the geezer was thirsty for blood. Your intel was right. I do sympathize with Free Nation sentiment, but only to the point of healing. My oath demands it. Blaisdell laughed with glee.
I got you. I finally got you,
he yelled. What are you talking about? I asked. Blaisdell produced his not-so-secret recorder. All right, fine. I'll admit. He had bamboozled me good. Real good. After his little display of actual acting talent, I had doubted the existence of a second recorder. Still, I was confident. Even while thinking he was Free Nations, I had carefully chosen my words so as to not incriminate myself. Then Blaisdell rewound the recording. I do sympathize with Free Nation sentiment. I do sympathize with Free Nation sentiment, said my voice on repeat. What about the context? I clearly said only to the extent required medically.
Now who's the idiot? The only thing the court will ever hear is this little tidbit,
said Blaisdell condescendingly. He waved the recorder under my nose. I do sympathize with Free Nation sentiment, it said. I stifled my own laughter. Blaisdell had a smoking gun, no doubt. It was my own voice stating, fictionally or not, that I supported terrorists. What he failed to remember was that I was unrestrained, and he had an unauthorized weapon. I jumped onto the table. I kicked the gun out of his right hand. Gunpowder ignited. A lead slug buried itself in the ceiling. Then I grabbed the recorder out of his left. I slammed it against the table. It shattered into plastic bits. Only then did I fully unleash the waiting torrent of hysterical glee. I must have looked like a raging spazoid, standing atop the steel table and laughing giddily. Where's the evidence now, Blaisdell? I asked between bouts of cackling. Reddick! He has a gun and is destroying the records! Help! Help! I knew the sound would travel. The POSE didn't have a budget for a soundproof room. I won't lie, I thought about killing Blaisdell. Damn, it was becoming easier and easier to resort to murder. It would have been considered justified, too. After all, he was the one who had pulled the gun on me. I decided otherwise. He was already up shit creek without a paddle. No need to paint myself as anything other than an innocent man. So, as always, I played the part. Reddick burst through the door.
What is going on here?
He asked. I let Blaisdell incriminate himself.
Lisbon destroyed the recording devices, and he pulled a pistol. Before he did it, he admitted to having affiliations with Free Nations insurgents,
cried Blaisdell. That's not true. He threatened me, told me to join the Free Nations or else. Then he tried to shoot me, I protested.
Oh, Blaisdell. This day has been coming. I never would have believed my own partner was Free Nation,
said Reddick.
I'm not. It's Lisbon. He's the terrorist. He admitted it. Sympathies for Free Nation sentiment. It was on the recording before he destroyed it and tried to shoot me,
argued Blaisdell. His face was turning red with rage and frustration.
I want to believe you, but I can't. Lisbon was strip searched before entering the interrogation room. There was no way he smuggled a pistol in here. I'm sorry, Blaisdell, but you're under arrest. You have the right to remain silent. Silence will be seen as an admission of your guilt. You have the right to an attorney. Your attorney has the right to dismiss your testimony as false. Speak now,
stated Reddick as he handcuffed Blaisdell.
I'll speak. I admit it. I had the gun. I was trying to get this worm to confess. He's a murderer and a terrorist,
screamed Blaisdell.
Let the record show that POSE Special Agent Blaisdell has admitted to coercion of suspect Jon Lisbon under threat of deadly force,
said Reddick into his own voice recorder.
Any and all evidence from this session against one Jon Lisbon is to be considered null and void.
No. I swear he's an insurgent. Just you wait. You'll see how wrong you are. I'm a passionate member of the conciliatory. I'm a card-carrying member. I would never dream of disobeying,
screamed Blaisdell.
You brought a firearm into an investigation. I won't even ask where you got it. You already made your statement, and Blaisdell, for your own good, shut the fuck up,
said Reddick as he turned his attention to me.
Lisbon, you're free to go. There will be no further inquiries. Keep your nose clean. I'll be watching.
Reddick hauled Blaisdell out of the room. Blaisdell hollered the whole way out. Thankfully, I never saw the two of them again. Iris and I were returned to duty in a new team. There was no fanfare, no medals, no promotions. I was almost miffed. Figured they would promote me to captain. But, like I said before, I'm a simple man. I didn't care as long as I could relax with a beer and a couple of smokes. I didn't care as long as I could still slice people up. Funny thing, that word simple. The year's events were far from simple. Everything changed but my job. Blaisdell had been right. Free nations were everywhere. The brewing conflict finally erupted. The Alliance of Free Nations pitted themselves against the might of the United States of the Earth Conciliatory. It didn't mean a damn thing to me. I did my job, just as always, even though my practice broadened to the front lines. Even better in my mind. I love the smell of blood and the look of viscera all opened up. I love helping people and I love slicing them apart. The only difference now is that I have to fight just a little harder against the part of my mind that wants to kill the healthy patients. It's a big ask given the number of casualties from war, but I'll manage with a little help. I mean, not everyone makes it in war, and some are more not making it than others. We all have our struggles. I have a job to do. Nothing else matters. Hello, it's me, the writer. I just wanted to say thanks, first and foremost to all of you who listened this far, and second to all my friends who lent their voices for this story. My brother Caleb, my pal Berger, Lady Spookaria, Chesh, Magnetar, Stone Evil Monkey, the Book and Movie Guy, Luke DeWorm, Dexter's Killer Lab, and Duchess of Darkness. This story would have been a hell of a lot harder on me and my voice without their help. Many of them also have their own YouTube channels, and I urge you to check them out. Who knows, maybe you'll find that you really like what they do. I know that this story is not for everyone, but to those who did enjoy, I hope it was a new and bizarre experience. Soli Deo Gloria.